Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Inside the U live postgame show. The Miami Hurricanes win 76-72 at Wake Forest. A big win for Miami. There's a lot to get into with this one. It's Miami's first win at Wake Forest since 2011. The first road win for Jim Larranaga since he's been at Miami. He lost the last 5 trips. Wake Forest was coming in on fire, 9-2 since Miami beat them on January 1st. So Miami gets that win. There were a lot of things down the stretch that Miami did well. And if you're new to this live postgame show, we will go right to Jim Larranaga and players as soon as they're available after the game. I've got the Zoom interviews open. But it really, this game came down to some of the strengths of Miami that we've talked about all season long, and that's Cam McGusty and Isaiah Wong, just their ability to take over games. You saw it today, 22 points for McGusty, 20 for Isaiah Wong. A lot of crucial baskets by both guys. Wong with the free throws and seals it with that nice shot off about an 8-footer banks it off the glass to go 76-72. And then Cam McGusty, he missed that tough 18-footer with 2 minutes left, comes back, hits a 3, makes a layup, and gives Miami that win. They needed points down the stretch in those final minutes, and they were able to get that with their 2 main guys. That was good to see. Wake Forest is a good team. Coach Larranaga said coming into this one, he feels like this is a national title contending team. I'm not so sure about that, but the point is they got a well-rounded team and a team that has a lot of strength. So this is a good win for Miami. Winning on the road has been something we've seen quite a bit. The other thing we've seen quite a bit with this team is they've been down by double digits, and this was the 4th time they've been down by at least 10 points in a game, and they came back and won. Really crucial. A pivotal 10-0 run there in the second half got Miami the lead after only leading in the opening minute, so they were able to get that lead and then able to stay with it down the stretch here. Once again, still waiting for Coach Larranaga. Definitely let me know. We had some audio issues last time, so let me know if there's issues at all with audio. I want to make sure we don't miss that, and I want to make sure that we definitely get the Zoom calls ready for you guys. And the new mic right now, if you haven't seen the video I posted earlier, I got a new mic, new setup, so hopefully I'm still working through some things there, but hopefully it sounds good on your end as well. Once again, a big win for Miami. Definitely want to thank everybody for dropping in the chat. Canes Cat Heat 305 is definitely here. As always, Matt P is here as well. I know many of you are watching also. I could see there's a lot of people in the room, so definitely drop in your comments. Let me know what you think about this game. Definitely let me know what you think about Miami moving forward. I know many people are still a little unsure about this team, but these wins on the road, these comeback wins are starting to add up, and it's really their identity. There's some things, obviously, that made it difficult today. Wake shoots about 55%, but Miami counters that with shooting over 50% themselves, and they were able to force Wake into some turnovers. 17 turnovers for Wake Forest there was obviously a big thing. Welcome back to the lineup, and Jordan Miller missed the one game. He came off the bench today, but just good that he was back out there. He made some key plays, got some buckets off the bench for Miami. Anthony Walker got the start, only played 12 minutes, but Jordan Miller, I expected down the stretch, if he could give him those minutes, he'd be the one that'd be out there, and he was. I thought he was influential there, and it was good too. At one point during the game, he was a -10, so he was struggling when he was on the court, but he was able to contribute there as well. I think he's definitely one of those key pieces to this team, offensively and defensively, with what they like to do. So him being out there was certainly big. Not a big performance, not a good performance for Charlie Moore. The 1 for 6, he hit that 3 from the baseline that kind of rattles in, airballs a 3 moments later. But, some of those games, it just wasn't a good game for him. But overall, good win for Miami. Really impressive that they were able to battle back like that. Still waiting here for Coach here. I don't want to miss that. Yeah, as far as the alumni baseball game, I'm not going to be able to make it there. Just a tight fit with this post-game show and getting over for that, but definitely staying locked in. I've got some baseball coverage there as well. But again, Miami, looking at it, Cam McGusty and Isaiah Wong once again led them. Both of them were 8 for 14 from the field. Both got to the free throw line. It was really impressive because between the two of them, they only made 3 3-pointers. So they were getting to the basket, either getting to the basket or mid-range jumpers, whatever that might be, just very aggressive performances. And that's what you need against tough teams like Wake Forest. You've got to have your guys step up and play well, and this was a good sign for Miami. I feel like it's been a while since both have hit that 20-point mark, which is hard to do for a duo there, and the fact that they were able to do that was important. On the flip side, Alanis Williams had a good game scoring and shooting, finishes with 25 points, but I was impressed with the 7 turnovers that Miami was able to force on him. I thought that was big. That, he obviously had a big game point-wise, but they were able to do just enough to kind of make things uncomfortable, out of rhythm. And also, I said coming into the game, I felt like Jake LaRavia was a key to the game, and Miami held him to 7 points, so that was good that they were able to do that because he provides some mismatch issues, and he's been very efficient on the offensive end. So Miami was able to hold him down from a scoring standpoint. I felt like that helped Miami in some possessions because Wake Forest is one of these teams that can put up 80 points. They can hit that mark, get close to 90. They're that good offensively because they've got this well-balanced thing going, and you saw it today. Again, they shot the ball well from 3. Wake Forest struggled a little bit from the free throw line, just 7 of 12, so just didn't get to the line that much, but they shoot almost 55%. So just impressive offensive performance for Wake Forest at times. But again, the 17 turnovers really made it difficult. And I know Steve Forbes is going to talk about that. I know Jim Larranaga is going to talk about those turnovers because that's what kept Miami in the game, and they were able to get those flipped overs to some transition points. I'm looking at the team comparison split. Other things that stand out, again, that turnovers, once again, Miami only finished with 7. So the fact that it was a plus 10 for Miami was certainly a positive. And the points off turnovers, like I was saying, 19 points off turnovers. Wake Forest turned those 7 turnovers into 0 points. So a very big key component. Now, I definitely, if it doesn't get asked, that'd be something I'd want to ask Coach Larranaga, just the how important that was. The fact that not only creating turnovers, but getting points and then also getting stops when you turn the ball over, that certainly seems to be a big key in a close against teams that are towards the top of the ACC. We'll certainly look at the ACC standings right here. It takes a little bit for it to be updated. It hasn't been updated yet, but Miami does go to 18-7 overall, 10-4 in the ACC. It's really impressive. And then also there's 6 teams at the top fighting for those top 4 spots. So this was a big one, especially with the way Wake Forest had been playing. So Wake Forest loses, drops to 20-6 overall, 10-5 in the ACC. Make sure you guys can see the standings. A lot of good games still to go in the ACC today. Once again, just a reminder, it's a 20-game schedule. If you're curious how many games are left. Once again, Miami goes to Louisville on Wednesday, but Miami's been playing really well on the road this season. And today it showed as well. So they improved to 6-2 on the road overall. It's just really impressive to get these wins. We've talked about it. Miami only had 5 road wins in the last 3 seasons combined. So to get 6 already this season, and it's not even done yet. So it's just been really impressive what they've been able to do on the road. Here's a look at the ACC schedule for today. And if you guys saw it, North Carolina blew out Florida State, who's really been scuffling lately, really falling back to the middle of the pack. They were towards the top. But North Carolina is rising. Their team I've been very interested in watching this year. They've looked bad at times, but I still think that they're a good team. And once they put it all together, and looks like they were on a roll today, they got up big at halftime. Virginia's another team that's coming on. They lead Georgia Tech at halftime 32-19. So Virginia, once again, we saw what they did to Miami. So they're, again, a team that's pushing forward here in the second half. They've won 3 straight. They could win their 4th in a row. So that's a good performance by Virginia there. Once again, just waiting for Coach Larranaga. No players have talked yet. Hopefully we get some players as well. Definitely drop in on the comments. Maybe if there's a question you'd like to have addressed, or if there's a topic in particular, definitely do that. Maybe I can get a question in. Just want to make sure we're ready to go here. Like I said, hopefully there's no audio issues. Definitely let me know. I'll be watching it as well. So once again, I want to flip it back to the stats here. And one of the things that makes McGusty and Wong so difficult is because there's different ways that they can get to you, scoring the ball. And you saw that today. Again, they can go to the basket. They were able to get to the free throw line a few times down the stretch, particularly with Isaiah Wong hitting those 4 free throws, which were crucial there in those final 10 minutes there. So that was big. So they can finish at the rim. You saw McGusty staying aggressive there, got that layup that was key, and then Isaiah obviously that to get him that 76, which is such a key point because obviously it stretched out the lead to 4 in that final possession, the final 10 seconds. So Isaiah's bucket really sealed the win there. And going to the basket's big, but they can also step out and hit some outside shots or those mid-range shots, those 15 to 20 footers. So they're able to get defenses off balance, and they can attack at different spots on the court, which makes them difficult. And also they both can do it. They both can get you 20. You saw it today, obviously, but this is the threat that they present teams all the time. And listening to other ACC coaches, that's what they talk about. What makes Miami so difficult is because their guards are so good and efficient, and they're able to score, and they've got 2 of these guys that could score, and that's certainly what made the difference today. Sam Wardenberg, third on the team in scoring, 12 points, contributed there. He did hit a couple of free three-pointers, but he was 2 of 6 from the line. I'm sure he'd like to have a couple of those back for sure, so he's got to be better there, obviously. But for the most part, a good performance at the line for the team. Getting there, they only had, I think, 3 attempts at one point, and it felt like they could get to the line a little bit more, and they were able to do that in the second half. But sometimes it's difficult when teams are big, and Wake Forest goes with their big guy in Dallas Walton. There were some mismatch things going on and some lineup adjustments that Wake Forest felt like they had to make because Miami's goes small, and Wake Forest felt like they had to counter and go small as well. That's why you saw Monsanto, South Florida, probably in there at the end of the game, just because they just felt like they had to kind of match up with Miami, which happens at times. You don't always have to go with the bigger lineup to counter the other team. Sometimes the bigger teams have to adjust to what you're doing. I felt like we saw that a little bit, especially down the stretch in this one. And Miami, again, stayed true to what it does, stayed true to its strengths. But overall, it was good. Just those 3 guys accounted for quite a few points. Looks like we're getting started right here.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready if anybody wants to hit. I don't think Alex can go on.
I got you. Yeah, good. Coach, you start an opening statement.
All right, well, I thought that was a great college basketball game. I thought both teams played extremely well. I thought Wake Forest got off to a great start. I thought we were in very much of a hurry. We wanted to play so hard and so well, but we rushed. In the second half, we calmed down. We executed our offense much better. And our defense then was outstanding in terms of forcing turnovers and converting the turnovers into points.
If you have questions, please use the hand raise function. We'll start with Chris Stock from InsideTheU.
Yeah, Coach, could you expand on that? They had 17 turnovers. You guys scored 19 points. They didn't score any points off the turnovers. That 19-0 margin was certainly a big difference in this one.
Well, that's been our strategy throughout the season, and we made a concerted effort during the off season of scrambling and getting our guys to pressure the ball, trap the ball, rotate and hustle. And because we like size, they're so much bigger than us. You look at Walton, Laravia, Mucius, C. They are 3-4 inches taller than us at almost every position and outweigh us by probably 20 to 25 pounds, maybe more than that even.
Miami Herald.
Hey, Jim, congratulations. I wanted to ask you about just, again, the poise at the end of the game. I mean, I think there was a stat that it was the 4th time you've overcome a double-digit deficit and the 10th time you've overcome after trailing in the second half. Just what does that say about the poise and the maturity of this team?
I'll give you a very good example, and it has nothing to do with basketball. Yesterday, our flight was supposed to depart Miami at 2:00. We got on the plane, got to the runway, and the pilot announced there's a mechanical problem. It'll take about a half hour to correct it. 30 minutes later, he came back and said, we can't correct it. We're going to have to get you a new plane. So we went back in, and my staff stayed in touch with the airlines and found out that they couldn't get us a plane until 9 o'clock at night. So we took the guys to dinner. They handled that adversity with such class. They didn't get upset. They didn't start complaining. They went to dinner as a team and had a lot of laughs, enjoyed it, got back on the bus, went back out to the airport, left at 9:30 out of Miami. We arrived in Winston-Salem at 11:30 to our hotel at midnight, to our rooms shortly thereafter, got up, did a walkthrough because, there was no shoot around or no time to do anything but just, discuss our game plan. When a team handles adversity the way we did yesterday, last night, and then in the game when adversity hit, they still handle it the same way. We were calm. I kept telling them, I said, hey, we're our own worst enemy. We're not playing our game. We just got to calm down and play our game and then see what happens. And sure enough, we went out in the second half and did that. Forcing turnovers defensively, making shots, sharing the ball. And then down the stretch, of course, you have every starter making a big play, one right after the other. Jordan Miller's tip-in was outstanding. Charlie Moore making a three off a Jordan Miller assist right in front of our bench. Sam Wardenberg driving the ball and getting a three-point play. And then, of course, Cam McGusty and Isaiah down the stretch just taking the ball to the basket and scoring. So a great team effort, and, that's what it's all about.
Where'd you go to dinner, if I may ask? That's a late time to get a reservation.
It was very interesting. Our guys called Outback Steakhouse in, what's that mall called?
Hialeah.
In Hialeah, right across from Hialeah College. What's the name of it?
This is the Westland Mall.
Westland Mall.
Okay. And
on the bus ride to the Outback, we told them we had a party of 30. And they said, what? Well, we can't really accommodate. We only have 2 servers, so it'll take a long time. And they said, well, we're not in any hurry. They called a bunch of servers and had them come in. We ordered our appetizers, our shrimp and onion rings and French fries. And so when we sat down, the guys had a chance to eat, chicken wings and stuff like that. And then finally, we ordered our entree, and we didn't finish eating until 8 o'clock last night. And then got to the airport at 8:30, boarded the flight at 9:30. I told you what the timetable was.
Thank you. Well, congratulations on many levels then that you overcame all that.
Mike,
What's up?
Mike D, you there?
Coach, Mike DePasquale, good to see you. Congratulations on your win today.
Thanks.
Saying all that, what does this tell you about your team? In the first half, you're down 13 at 1.7 at the half, and you go into a situation at Wake where up until today, they only lost 1 game at home. What are you learning more about your team, the guts that they're showing?
Well, to be honest, we never, since I've been at Miami, we had never won here. They're not just good against everybody. They're definitely good against us. And we've had some opportunities to win here and fell short. So tonight is a really special win. I think there are 2 places in the league that as a head coach I haven't won at. Winston-Salem at Wake Forest was one, and now we're playing Louisville, and that's the other.
Thank you, Coach.
Luke Chaney from the Miami Hurricane.
What was it?
Hey, Coach, congrats on the win. Can you talk a little bit about some of the difficulties that game planning for such a talented offensive guard like Alondas Williams causes?
When you're playing against a player like Alondas Williams, who is so good at driving to the basket and so good at getting assists and getting his teammates involved, I told my coaches that my major concern, he's going to score driving, he's going to score by assisting others. What we can't do is we can't foul him, and we can't let him hit threes as well. But then he's scoring at all three levels, and then, like tonight, he had 4 assists, but he had 7 turnovers. So our pressure, was effective. But he's a great player. He's certainly going to be seriously considered for the ACC Player of the Year.
Time for 2 more. We'll go to Zach Macer from the Miami Hurricane, and then Chris Stock.
How you doing, Coach? Congrats on the win. Speaking of those turnovers by Alondis, it was pretty apparent that the turnovers that Wake Forest were committing resulted in points for you guys. How important was it to convert on those turnovers, and how do you feel about that defensive presence?
Well, quite honestly, that's our game. We're not big enough to just, stay back and rebound with other big teams like that. If we don't force turnovers, we're going to struggle defensively. But when we are forcing turnovers, and we're pretty darn good in the open court converting those, like today, 19, that makes a huge difference, because it's very hard for your opponent to make up for those points. You'd have to do it making 6 or 7 threes, which I think they did. They made 9 threes. We only made we made 7. So they outscored us from 3-point land by 6, but we outscored them in turnovers by 19. So we won that kind of battle.
Last question from Chris Stock.
Coach, you touched on it a little bit, but just the execution by your guys, those final 2 minutes, Cam's 3, the layup, and Isaiah obviously sealed it. And then also if you could comment on just having Jordan Miller back, his contributions today.
Yeah. So Jordan didn't play on Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday, didn't practice yesterday, but he was feeling better and better. So I didn't know 100% that he was going to play until really game time. He told me at the pregame meal that he was feeling good and should be able to go. But not until a player gets out on the court and tests it, do you know what the result will be. So in his case, Jordan Miller played 27 minutes. That's starters minutes anyway when he came in off the bench. But you got to, weigh heavily Anthony Walker's contribution. He had, 4 points and 2 rebounds, but his activity defensively, he blocked a shot, he knocked the ball loose, and we got the steal. He got the alley-oop dunk. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we did well.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
So that's going to wrap things up. It looks like no players afterwards. I do want to see if we can pop over to Steve Forbes, Wake Forest head coach, his press conference, and see if we can catch them. I'll let you guys know if we can. Otherwise, we'll just keep this thing going here. I wanted to show you guys the ACC standings, which is updated.
Recording in progress.
Coach, so you weren't happy with how the ball handlers were handling the hedge, but how about the other guys on the floor? Were they moving to the correct spots that you wanted them to help out the ball handlers?
I mean, at times they were. At times we probably stood. It's kind of – we didn't have very good pace today, very good pop, no tempo. But typically, you want to try to have a guy in the middle or one across or one down. And were those spots always filled? Probably not. But there's somebody there open, and you got to be able to strong enough to step through it. Typically on a hedge too, you can just beat the hedge guy, just turn the corner and beat him. But we couldn't. We just picked up our dribble, and that's another problem is picking up your dribble in the hedge. Drive it. And it got to the point I didn't even want him to. I mean, we probably set too many of them, to be honest, because they couldn't handle it.
And then when you wrote guarding the ball on the board, what is the focus like heading into practice on improving that?
What's that?
When you said one of the things you wrote on the board was guarding the ball.
Yeah.
How do you envision that improving, and how do you envision working on that?
You have to have the pride to stay in a stance and stay in front between your man and the basket and make him score over you. And then if he picks up his dribble, then you have a strong chest and you don't give him an angle to the basket. And you stay down on shot fakes. Warrenberg shot faked a couple times. Again, we told him that, drove right around us. Wong and McGusty are going to make some plays. They're good players. You're not going to stop them the entire game. But when it's game time, you got to find a way. And they just went and made plays.
Does anyone else have any more questions for Coach?
I have one more quick one, Megan. Coach, you said at the start of this that you thought Miami came in here and just played harder than you guys did. How many times have you left the game this year feeling that way?
Maybe today. I mean, I hadn't really felt that way. I'd have to think about it, but off the top of my head today, where I really felt like they just played harder, man, and they had more urgency in the second half. And I thought we left points on the table in the first half. You know, I thought we were up 10 or whatever we were at 7. Should have been double digits. We missed 4 or 5 shots right at the basket. And we didn't shoot free throws well again. And so I just thought we blew some opportunities. And then they came out in the second half. They turned it up. And we had 10 turnovers in the second half, live balls, where they were just laying it up. And there's really no defense for that. You know, you can't guard those. I mean, the offense really created a lot of problems for our defense, to be honest with you.
All right, that's all we'll have for today. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
So there we go. We were able to get a few minutes with Coach Forbes there, and I was glad he was able to expand on something he touched on earlier. Just the fact that he touched on that he felt like Miami played harder than his team, and he expanded how often that happened. So that was a very interesting nugget that we were able to get right there at the end. So I was glad we were able to pass that on to you guys, because I find it to be very interesting. There are a couple notes. I definitely want to get back into Coach Larranaga, what he had to say about the game, but just a couple things I wrote down with Coach Forbes there. He felt like they left some points on the table in the first half. Miami was down 13 at one point in the first half, and I'm sure he felt like if they could have went up, close to that 12 to 15 point range into halftime, instead it was only 7. Miami's able to cut it down a little bit going into the break, and Coach Forbes felt like there were a few baskets they could have made, some close ones. So he probably felt like, look, if we got it to that closer to 12 to 15, we probably could have stayed out in front there in the second half. But the other thing, just mentioned that he has spoken highly of Miami in the past earlier this year, so I do want to make note of that. But he touched on something we've seen with this team, and I think this is going to the point of why this team has been able to be successful, and it's the fact that Miami has been playing with a sense of urgency. We saw it specifically today. He touched on this being down in the second half. Miami was down, and he felt like his team just didn't match the level of urgency that Miami played with in the second half, and it showed. He touched on the 10 turnovers there in the second half. Well, I want to flip over to that. So, yeah, 10 turnovers for Wake Forest in the second half, and it led to some points. And it was very interesting because, like you said, sometimes your defense can't get back. Sometimes there's lead into the transition point, and that's what I was able to ask Coach Larranaga about, just that 19-0 advantage for Miami, points off turnovers. Certainly a big point there, but transition defense is always tough. Sometimes you're outnumbered on 2-on-1 type situations or 3 on whatever it might be. You're just not able to sit back, and certainly Wake Forest would like to do that, sit back in their defense more because of the size they have. They're able to disrupt some things there. So if the big guys can't get back because their guards are turning it over, like Alondis Williams had 7 today, it made it difficult. So those were a couple notes. Good to hear that from Coach Forbes. Unfortunately, no players today from Miami, but I do want to mention something I was able to ask Coach was about Jordan Miller. He's back on the court. And I'm glad he touched on the 27 minutes because that's what stood out to me too. Not only was he out there, it was good to have him back, that kind of thing, but he gives you 27 minutes and really made some nice key plays, and that's what this guy does. He's very efficient on offense. You saw it today, just 8 points, but it's 4 or 6 shooting. It's off the bench. He grabs you 6 boards, second highest on the team, only to Isaiah Wong 7. So he's getting you some rebounds there. He touched on the one assist he had, which was that corner 3. If you remember it, it's a drive down the lane, and then he's able to kick it out to Charlie there for a baseline 3, and Charlie knocks it down. It rattles in, but it goes in. So good play by Jordan, and just that's what he's able to give you, and that's what Miami has been able to get from their other guys. We talk so much about Cam and Isaiah, and even Charlie Moore, their top 3 guys, but with what Sam and Jordan Miller are able to do with positive contributions or efficiency is really big. And again, both these guys are working on the defensive end as well. So that's certainly a good sign. You see the 3 steals for Sam Wardenberg. Jordan Miller had 2. So good for those guys to make sure they're providing some good stuff on defense as well. Another thing Coach Larranaga said, I do want to get into some other topics. Again, I just will flip back to the ACC standings with the win. Again, Miami wins today 76-72, improves the 17-7. That's not correct. It's 18-7. It's interesting how it sometimes it updates and then goes back. But anyways, Miami's 18-7, 10-4 in the ACC. The win actually puts them in a tie with North Carolina for 3rd place in the ACC, moves them up, kind of stays at that top group. When you want to be in that top 4 for the double bye for the ACC tournament, which starts on March 8th in Brooklyn, New York this year. The ACC tournament's a great time for anybody that's able to go to those events, or if you've not been, definitely it's a big basketball event, a lot of fun each and every year. So the other thing that Coach mentioned that I wrote down on my notes was, and it goes along with what I was saying with Jordan Miller, just guys making key plays. Again, the buckets by Isaiah and Cam were certainly big, but these other key plays, the assists, the steals, whatever it might be, the Charlie Moore stuff, that he's able to do, kind of hanging onto the ball. There was just some good plays. Anthony Walker gets a couple buckets, goes 2 for 3 when he was in there, less than 15 minutes, but just some positive contributions from a lot of guys. Definitely a total team effort, but obviously Isaiah and Cam led them in this one, so that was a good sign there. Kind of looking at the ACC scoreboard right now. Once again, the game to watch is Virginia, a team that's won 3 straight already. They're up 8 on Georgia Tech. And then the Duke game, obviously this is a big one from a Miami standpoint, because Duke's leading the conference. So if somehow Boston College is able to pull off the upset, that would be big for Miami down the stretch here. As you can see, Boston College really struggling. They're 9-13 overall, 4-8 in the ACC. They've lost their last 2. So it's going to be a tough one for BC, even to win at home. Duke has Trevor Keels back, so they're certainly look to get it going once again once they have their full amount of guys. Big win for Pittsburgh and NC State, 2 teams at the bottom of the conference. Once again, we touched on the UNC win, the big win over Florida State, North Carolina. Miami does not play North Carolina again down the stretch, which is good from a Miami standpoint, because they were able to beat them that one time, and North Carolina is going to stay towards the top, and it's good Miami has that win over them on the head-to-head battles there. Shout out to everybody that's here. A lot of people excited about this team. Definitely drop in the comments even more what you liked about this one. I'll kind of recap a few of the things I liked. There's something I noticed right now that I want to talk about with the stats that I haven't yet. But again, just to recap again, Isaiah Wong and Cam McGusty both go 8 for 14. They both hit that 20-point mark. I know that's been a while since the both of them have done that. It seems like one has been on, or another will get hot in one half or the other, but not able to get that 20-point mark, which is a big point. It's a big deal in college basketball to be able to do that. The thing that stands out to me right now, we talk about the bench quite a bit. You're not going to get a huge output every night. I asked Coach the other day about what he's hoping, what's realistic expectations, and he said 10 to 20 points. It would be great off the bench each night. As you see here, the 15 total points by the bench is obviously a key there. But what stands out to me when I just noticed is everybody scored. Wooga hits a 3. Dangak gets in there and makes a shot. We touched on Jordan Miller hitting 4 shots, and then Bensley Joseph makes a shot. So 4 guys off the bench, every L5 starters. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen Miami have 9 guys score. When Coach said it's a total team effort, it definitely was. That's a good sign. Everybody's involved, contributing what they can. You're not going to have everybody hit double figures, but just to be efficient. And also, those guys I just mentioned, with Walker 2 for 3, you're talking about some efficient numbers here. Walker 2 for 3, Joseph 1 for 2, 4 for 6 for Miller, and then Gag and Poplar did not miss a shot. So this is some good stuff that you're seeing from Miami. You need everybody on board to win on the road. And Coach mentioned it, and I mentioned it in the chat. Miami plays at Louisville next. Miami, regardless of who's been the head coach, Miami has never won at Louisville. They're 0-6 in a series that goes back to 1951. Louisville does not have a strong team this year. Miami's going to have a chance to win that game. Miami improves to 6-2 on the road, so they're going to have a chance to win against Louisville. in that one. As you can see, Louisville 11-13, 5-9 in the ACC. They've just really struggled this year, had the coaching change, but we'll see. Obviously, playing at home, we'll see how that works out. And I do want to wrap this up soon. Some other things. Let's see if there's anything else that stands out to me on the split box here. I think just the fact that it was touched on quite a bit with Coach Larranaga, just a lot of questions of this team overcoming 10-point deficits and the adversity. And he gave a good story. If you guys are just jumping on, Coach Larranaga gave a good story in terms of travel stuff that they dealt with, getting to Wake Forest and going to Outback Steakhouse and, making servers come in and whatnot. So good story there that he shared about the team. But yeah, this team has faced adversity this year with being down, and they have this real hunger for winning, and I find that to be a good sign because you need that in these games. They're not going to be easy. It's tough to win in the ACC. It's especially tough on the road. So again, it's a Wake Forest team that had been rolling. This wasn't going to be an easy game. I'm surprised. If you saw the line, I think Wake Forest was favored by about 8 points, 7.5, 8 points. So this was a big one. Miami wins it outright. Other things that stood out to me. So they get the lead. They led 5-3, and then the next time Miami led was like 56 or 54-52 there in the second half. Isaiah Wong Jordan Miller gave this team a lead during this 10-0 run. We've talked about this quite a bit with this team too. And you guys, we mentioned this. We talked to Evan about this. The amount of 10-0 runs this team has had this year has been big, and that's not only are they erasing these deficits, getting back into it, but they're able to do it quickly. And I think that's big because once you get into some postseason play, staying in games, a couple shots, couple threes, a couple stops, it's a 10-0 run. And I think those are always big as you face adversity. So that's certainly a good sign for this team. And it's, once again, you like repeated success. You like these things continuing to happen. It's not something that just happens every now and again. So that's a good sign for Miami that these things keep happening. So I think Miami has a chance to, still finish strong, get close to that 21-22 wins in the regular season as it winds down. And definitely a shot to make the NCAA tournament, which would be the first time since 2018. So that could be exciting for Miami fans and the fan base and watching this team, because they certainly are going to be in every game. We've seen that mostly all season long, regardless of how the results go. I want to wrap this up. Any final questions, definitely do that. I'll try to address it as we look at the standings once again on the refresh. It's not updating, but once again, Miami improves to 10-4 in the conference. And looking at the scoreboard, so it is a tight one with the Georgia Tech Virginia game. That's the one to watch because Virginia is trying to creep back into that top four. And once again, looks like Duke's in a tough one there, 22-18 early on in Boston. So maybe Duke could slip up here. That would certainly help Miami. So just taking a look at the out of town scoreboard here. Syracuse, Virginia Tech coming up later. Miami does end their season against Syracuse. So that's definitely a game to watch as well. So I want to thank everybody for jumping on here. I've got some writing to do on the website. So I want to shout out to everybody that's here. You could always watch it back. I'll put the timestamps in if you just want to skip what I have to say and go straight to Jim Larranaga. And then that quick minute or two from Steve Forbes. I was glad we were able to get his take on this game. Big takeaway from him was he said Miami played harder. That's definitely a good sign. You want the team that plays harder. And certainly execution and all that, but playing hard is a key thing, and playing hard definitely travels on the road, same way with defense. So good win for Miami. Thank you everybody for stopping by, and hopefully have a good rest of the day. Take care.